Rudy Giuliani was once one of the most revered public figures in America. Known for his bold leadership as mayor of New York City during the 9/11 attacks, he symbolized resilience and patriotism to many. His subsequent rise as a fierce prosecutor, fighting against organized crime in the Southern District of New York, earned him respect from both political parties. However, in recent years, Giuliani's once-lauded career has taken a dramatic and disastrous turn. After aligning himself with Donald Trump during the 2020 presidential election, Giuliani found himself embroiled in the infamous election fraud scandal, which led him to make baseless claims about rigged voting machines and fraudulent ballots. One of the most damaging aspects of these false accusations was his targeting of two election workers in Georgia, Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss. These innocent individuals were falsely accused of manipulating votes, and as a result, they faced intense public harassment, threats, and a ruined reputation. In this video, we're going to break down the latest developments in Rudy Giuliani's legal battles, focusing on the defamation lawsuit filed against him by Freeman and Moss. This lawsuit, which seeks a staggering $150 million in damages, could cost Giuliani everything. His continued refusal to comply with court orders, coupled with his contemptuous behavior in the courtroom, could potentially land him in jail. We'll also discuss Giuliani's ongoing financial troubles, as he's been ordered to turn over significant assets, including a 1980 Mercedes-Benz, collectible Yankee rings, and his Florida condo. Despite his claims of being broke, Giuliani's assets are under scrutiny as he tries to avoid losing everything. With his professional license revoked and his legal standing in jeopardy, Giuliani's future looks grim. Will the court's rulings set a new precedent for holding public figures accountable for their reckless words? Let's dive into the story. Giuliani's rise and fall, from hero to legal pariah. Rudolph William Giuliani's story is one of triumph, fall, and controversy. Known to the world as America's mayor for his leadership in New York City during the aftermath of the September 11th terrorist attacks, Giuliani was a figure of national pride. His calm under pressure and unwavering support for the people of New York earned him widespread admiration and even time in the international spotlight. His tenure as the mayor of New York was punctuated by his staunch efforts to reduce crime and push for the revitalization of the city's economic landscape. But beneath his public image was another reality: Giuliani's aggressive approach to law enforcement, particularly as a federal prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, often alienated political opponents and created enemies. Nevertheless, his reputation as a tough-on-crime, no-nonsense attorney was solidified when he took down notorious figures like John Gotti and the Gambino crime family. Giuliani was heralded as a lawyer who could get results, even if his methods were unorthodox. Fast forward to the 2016 presidential election, when Giuliani became a vocal supporter of Donald Trump. In many ways, Giuliani's legal career flourished under Trump's reign, first as a confidant and then as a key member of Trump's legal defense team. However, his involvement in the aftermath of the 2020 election would lead to his eventual legal downfall. After the 2020 election, Giuliani became one of the loudest proponents of Trump's false claims of a stolen election. He spearheaded baseless lawsuits and promoted conspiracy theories about voting machine manipulation and fraudulent ballots. These claims targeted two women in particular, Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, two election workers in Fulton County, Georgia. Giuliani accused them of smuggling fraudulent ballots in a suitcase and manipulating the election process. These accusations, which were entirely without merit, sent Freeman and Moss into hiding as they faced death threats, harassment, and widespread vilification. Giuliani's role in defaming these women not only exposed the dangers of spreading false information but also set the stage for a massive legal showdown that would reverberate across the country. The defamation lawsuit, Freeman and Moss versus Giuliani. In response to the unfounded accusations, Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss filed a defamation lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani, seeking $150 million in damages. The lawsuit claimed that Giuliani's public statements were not only false but also malicious, aiming to damage their reputations and harm their personal lives. These claims were compounded by the harassment the two women endured after Giuliani's remarks gained traction in the media. Giuliani's legal strategy in response to the lawsuit has been a mix of denial, deflection, and delay. He attempted to downplay the significance of his remarks and argued that they were protected by the First Amendment. However, the court was not persuaded by Giuliani's arguments. He eventually agreed to a consent order in which he promised to stop making defamatory statements about Freeman and Moss. This, however, did not stop Giuliani from continuing to spread false claims on his podcast, The Rudy Giuliani Show. His defiant behavior, including the violation of the court's consent order, led to further legal consequences. Freeman and Moss's legal team filed motions to hold Giuliani in contempt of court for failing to adhere to the terms of the agreement. These actions put Giuliani at risk of more severe penalties, including potential jail time. Court proceedings. Giuliani's contempt of court. Giuliani's behavior in court has been a spectacle in itself. Despite his former status as a high-profile attorney, he has found himself on the wrong side of the law, facing contempt charges. Giuliani's repeated outbursts in court, his refusal to comply with orders, and his attempts to argue his case without a proper legal defense have made him an increasingly difficult figure to manage in the courtroom. One of the most notable moments in the ongoing legal saga came when Judge Beryl Howell, who is overseeing the case, ordered Giuliani to appear for a contempt hearing. During this hearing, Giuliani was given an ultimatum by the judge: either testify under oath or allow his lawyer, Joe S. Camarata, to handle the legal defense. However, Giuliani's disregard for courtroom protocol was apparent as he continually interrupted proceedings and attempted to speak on matters outside the scope of the case. Judge Howell, visibly frustrated, made it clear that Giuliani's conduct would not be tolerated. She warned him that his continued defiance could lead to significant legal penalties, including the possibility of jail time. Giuliani's conduct has made it apparent that he believes he is above the law, but as the proceedings continue, it's clear that the courts are losing patience with him. The battle for assets, Giuliani's financial troubles, and the fight over property. Amidst his legal battles, Giuliani's financial troubles have become an increasingly significant part of the narrative. Despite his earlier claims of financial hardship, it's clear that Giuliani owns several valuable assets, which have been targeted for liquidation in order to satisfy the $150 million judgment. Among these assets is his 1980 Mercedes-Benz, which he was ordered to turn over after his defamation claims were ruled invalid. In a public spectacle, Giuliani's lawyer, Joe Camarata, was filmed turning over the car at a warehouse in Hialeah, Florida. Giuliani had claimed that this vehicle was his only mode of transportation, but this argument fell flat in court. The court found that the vehicle, along with other assets, must be turned over to Freeman and Moss as part of the ongoing litigation. In addition to the car, Giuliani is also facing the possibility of losing his Florida condo, which he has attempted to protect by claiming a homestead exemption. This exemption, which shields primary residences from creditors, is a common tactic used by individuals facing significant financial difficulties. However, there are strict requirements for eligibility, and it appears that Giuliani may have mishandled the timing of his claim. If the court determines that he does not qualify for the exemption, he could lose the property. Lastly, Giuliani's collection of valuable memorabilia, including signed Yankee rings, is under scrutiny. These items, which have sentimental value, are also part of the asset turnover order. Giuliani's attempts to claim that these items were gifted to his son, Andrew Giuliani, may be challenged in court. The outcome of this dispute could have a significant impact on Giuliani's financial future. The road ahead. What's next for Giuliani? As Giuliani's legal battles continue, the question remains, what will be the final outcome for the former mayor, prosecutor, and Trumpella? The road ahead looks increasingly bleak for Giuliani, who has been stripped of his law licenses and faces a judgment that could bankrupt him. His defiant behavior in court, his refusal to comply with legal orders, and his financial struggles are all contributing to the unraveling of his once prominent career. In addition to the ongoing defamation lawsuit, Giuliani faces multiple other legal challenges, including investigations into his role in the January 6th Capitol riots. His involvement in spreading disinformation about the 2020 election has left him open to civil and criminal liability, and it's clear that the consequences of his actions will extend far beyond the courtroom.